This story is based on true events. Have you ever wandered into a place that felt alive with secrets, where every shadow seemed to whisper your name? Central Park, a beloved oasis in the heart of New York City, is not just a refuge from the urban chaos. It harbors chilling tales that will make your skin crawl. Among its iconic landmarks lies the Belvedere Castle, a mansion steeped in legend and said to be haunted by a vengeful spirit. As the moon rises, illuminating the dark corners of the castle, the air thickens with an eerie tension that begs exploration. But beware, curiosity can awaken the supernatural, drawing you into a nightmare from which there may be no escape. What if the ghost you encounter is not merely a figment of your imagination, but a guardian against something far more sinister? Join us as we delve into the heart of darkness, where the line between reality and terror blurs, and every step could lead to your undoing.
The old Belvedere Castle in Central Park was shrouded in mystery and legend. On a chilling moonlit night, a group of college friends, Sarah, Michael, Emily, and David, decided to explore the supposedly haunted mansion. The castle loomed over them, its stone walls bathed in the eerie glow of the full moon, casting long, menacing shadows across the grounds. The air was thick with an otherworldly stillness, and the rustling leaves sounded like whispered warnings from the spirits said to haunt the place. "I heard the ghost of a young woman appears in the windows on nights like this," Sarah whispered excitedly as they approached the dark silhouette of the castle against the night sky. Her voice trembled with a mix of fear and excitement, the kind that only comes from delving into the unknown. She had always been fascinated by the supernatural, and this adventure seemed like the perfect opportunity to experience it firsthand. "This is going to be so much fun," Emily said, shining her flashlight at the ominous stone walls. Her enthusiasm seemed out of place in such a foreboding setting, but it was her way of masking the nervousness gnawing at her insides. The beam of her flashlight danced over the ancient stones, revealing ivy creeping up the walls like the gnarled fingers of the dead reaching out from the past. As they stepped through the creaky wooden doors, a chill ran down their spines. The air felt heavy with an unseen presence, as if the castle itself were alive and watching them. The silence inside was deafening, broken only by the occasional creak of the floorboards under their feet. The musty scent of decay and neglect filled their nostrils, making them acutely aware of how long the place had been abandoned. "Did you guys feel that?" Michael asked, his voice trembling slightly. He rubbed his arms, trying to dispel the cold that seemed to seep into his bones. The rational part of his mind told him it was just the wind, but something deeper, more primal, screamed that they were not alone. "It's just your imagination?" David scoffed, though his own hands were shaking as he pulled out his camera to document their paranormal adventure. His bravado was a thin veil over his own fears, and the way his camera trembled betrayed his true feelings. The lens seemed to pick up more than just the darkness. It felt like it was capturing the essence of the castle's haunted past. The friends split up to search the castle's shadowy rooms and corridors. Sarah wandered down a dimly lit hallway, her footsteps echoing eerily. The walls seemed to close in on her, the darkness growing thicker with each step. Her flashlight flickered, casting erratic shadows that played tricks on her mind. Suddenly, a bone-chilling whisper brushed past her ear. "Get out!" She whirled around, her heart pounding, but saw nothing but darkness. Her breath came in short gasps as she struggled to convince herself it was just her imagination. In another room, Emily stumbled upon an old trunk filled with tattered letters and journals. As she read through the faded pages, a tragic story emerged of a young woman named Elizabeth who had lived in the castle long ago. The entries described terrifying supernatural occurrences and Elizabeth's growing fear of an evil presence in the mansion. Emily's hands shook as she realized that the stories they had heard were true. The castle was indeed haunted by something malevolent. "Guys, you need to see this," Emily called out, her voice quivering. The gravity of what she had discovered weighed heavily on her, and she felt an urgent need to share it with her friends. She clutched the journal to her chest as if it were a lifeline, a tangible connection to the past that might help them understand the present. The friends regrouped, their excitement now tinged with unease. They ventured deeper into the castle, the shadows seeming to close in around them. Each step felt like a journey deeper into the abyss, where the line between reality and nightmare blurred. The oppressive atmosphere made it hard to breathe, as if the air itself were laden with the sorrow and fear of the souls trapped within. Outside, the beauty of Central Park at night was a stark contrast to the oppressive atmosphere within the castle walls. The Bow Bridge glimmered under the moonlight, while the Bethesda fountain stood silent and still. The normalcy of the park felt like a distant memory, a world away from the horrors they were uncovering inside the castle. As they passed through the Ramble, a dense thicket of trees, they heard the distant sound of a woman's voice, singing a haunting melody. The friends froze, listening intently, but the song faded into the night. The eerie tune sent shivers down their spines, and they felt an overwhelming urge to leave, but curiosity kept them rooted to the spot. What was that? Michael whispered, his face pale. His mind raced with thoughts of ghosts and curses, the rational part of him struggling to maintain control. He glanced at his friends, hoping for some explanation that would make sense of the inexplicable. "I don't know, but I think we should get out of here," David replied, his bravado faltering. The fear in his voice was palpable, and the reality of their situation was sinking in. The thrill of the adventure had turned into a desperate need to escape whatever malevolent force was watching them. The friends hurried back towards the castle entrance, but found their path blocked by a shadowy figure. It drifted towards them, its features indistinct, yet somehow menacing. The air grew colder, and a sense of dread washed over them as they realized they were trapped. "Who's there?" Sarah called out, her voice shaking. The figure let out a bone-chilling wail, sending shivers down their spines. They turned and ran, their footsteps pounding against the stone floors as they fled the castle. The sense of being pursued was overwhelming, and they dared not look back. Once outside, they collapsed onto the grass, gasping for breath. The fresh air felt like a blessing after the stifling atmosphere of the castle. They glanced at each other, their faces pale and eyes wide with fear. "What the hell was that?" Emily cried, tears streaming down her face. The terror she felt was unlike anything she had ever experienced, and the reality of their brush with the supernatural was sinking in. "I don't know, but I'm never coming back here again," Michael said, his voice trembling. The experience had shaken him to his core, and the castle now seemed like a place of pure evil. Inside, the air was thick with tension. They split up once more, each determined to find answers. The silence was deafening, broken only by their own footsteps and the occasional creak of the old building. The castle seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for them to make a move. Sarah wandered into a dimly lit room, her footsteps echoing eerily. Suddenly, a ghostly figure materialized before her, its features indistinct yet somehow familiar. "Elizabeth," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. The apparition seemed to recognize her, its eyes filled with a sorrow that transcended time. The figure let out a wail of anguish, its spectral hands reaching towards her. Sarah stumbled backwards, her heart pounding in her chest. The fear was paralyzing, and she felt a cold grip on her soul, as if the spirit were trying to communicate something urgent. In another room, Emily and the boys discovered a hidden chamber, its walls adorned with strange symbols and arcane writings. The air in the room was thick with an oppressive energy, and they could feel the malevolence emanating from the symbols. As they explored the space, A sense of unease crept over them, as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. Suddenly, a dark presence manifested, its eyes glowing with malevolence. The friends screamed in terror, their voices echoing through the castle's halls. The entity radiated pure evil, and the room seemed to darken as it approached them. As the dark entity closed in, a blinding light erupted from the chamber's center. The friends shielded their eyes, their hearts pounding in their chests. The light was intense, almost too bright to bear, and they felt a strange warmth wash over them. When the light faded, they found themselves back outside the castle, their clothes disheveled and their faces pale with fear. They looked around, disoriented and shaken by the experience. "What the hell just happened?" David gasped, his voice hoarse from screaming. The realization that they had been saved by some unknown force was both comforting and terrifying. It was then that they realized the truth. The ghost of Elizabeth had been trying to protect them from the evil that lurked within the castle's walls. The dark entity they had encountered was an ancient evil, drawn to the castle by the dark rituals that had once taken place there. The sense of relief was tempered by the knowledge that they had narrowly escaped a fate worse than death. "We have to warn people," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "We can't let anyone else fall victim to this curse." The responsibility weighed heavily on them, and they knew they had to find a way to prevent others from experiencing the same horrors. As they hurried away from the castle, the friends knew that their lives would never be the same. The horrors they had faced would haunt them forever, a reminder that sometimes the greatest danger lies in the shadows of the places we think we know. The experience had bonded them in a way nothing else could, but it had also left scars that would never fully heal.
As you stroll through Central Park, remember that not all shadows are benign, and not every whisper is just the wind. The haunting tales of Belvedere Castle serve as a chilling reminder that curiosity can lead us to uncover dark secrets best left undisturbed. Have you ever felt an inexplicable presence while exploring a seemingly innocent place? What would you do if you encountered a ghostly figure staring back at you from a window? Stay alert during your next visit to New York City, for the line between the living and the supernatural can blur in the most unexpected ways. If you enjoyed this tale of terror, don't forget to subscribe and activate notifications to continue hearing spine-tingling stories keep you on the edge of your seat. What other haunted places should we explore together?